Good afternoon, morning, evening, or night, ladies and gents. My name is Alex, and this episode's subject comes in from warm buns, warm toasty buns. Hey Jar, what are your thoughts on sequels to games needing to reinvent themselves? Basically says, look at all these sequels and things where they're still great games, polished mechanics and everything, and people criticize them of being the same each time and too similar and there's nothing new. And this is a problem I've been seeing and facing and arguing about in the gaming industry for a long time, and what it comes down to is that games need to have, and sequels especially, need to have a certain balance. And let's think of some examples here. Example 1. Let's say the Batman Arkham series, like he mentions in the comments here. There have only been 3 Arkham games on the main consoles, not including the DS and PS Vita ones or whatever there were. And yes, when you look at it, the gameplay is very similar and ultimately the same thing, and that's what you'd expect, because it gets to a point where why do things need to change in terms of, you need to reinvent the wheel every time, but when you're doing that, you're losing sight of what you had in the first place. I feel like the Arkham games introduce new things each time enough to the point where it's like, it's forgivable that the gameplay itself is quite iterative, but they add enough things, they add more gameplay elements, they add new enemies, they add a new story, they add a new map, they add all these things which ultimately culminate in a product that ultimately is quite similar when you're just looking at it on paper, but then when you play it, it feels familiar, but at the same time it also feels new. It's that balance I'm on about. Then on the other side, you have something like Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed. You have all these games that are sort of lumped into it, and maybe it's fair, maybe it's not fair. The games that do usually get it are your Assassin's Creed, are your CODs, are your Halos. I see the Mario games being lumped into that a lot as well. And the fact of the matter is, I don't think people are complaining about the games not inventing or reinventing themselves, each and every time, but it more comes down to the fact that these games, especially Assassin's Creed and your CODs, are coming out so quickly, annualized, so that every single year you're getting a new one, that people are never getting a break from it. They're never wanting it. They never have the thirst for a new one because they always know there's a new one coming in that year. And it's not like GTA where there are years where you just have nothing. So you're just left there wanting. And then when the first trailer comes out, it sparks this interest and intrigue that you wouldn't have if there was a GTA every year. So when people say it's not new enough, it's not interesting enough, I think what they mean is that, well, of course the game is going to be fundamentally similar in a lot of ways. Like these 2D Mario games, what do you expect them to do to make them different? What can you do in that sandbox? I mean, it's a 2D platformer. There's only a certain amount of ways you can put blocks in a certain order and put in trampolines and power-ups and stuff. It's always going to feel same in a certain amount of way. And another thing that it comes down to is just your opinion on games. I know there are plenty of people out there that say Halo is all the same and it's the same thing every time and it sucks and they're just completely milking the cow. But to me, someone who's deeply entangled into the series and knows everything about it, I can pick apart and tell you why they're different, why there are different elements to it, and why that each one is a justified game, and the reason for them existing is more than it just making a fuck ton of money. And I'm sure there are Call of Duty people out there and Battlefield people and all these people that can defend why they're different. And like I can even say for like Assassin's Creed, they're very similar games every year. You're always jumping off buildings into hay bales and stuff, but then each year they are making a huge new map that is usually different. It's a whole new environment, usually new characters, new animations and things. There is work going into all of them, and the thing is, there is just no answer to this. It's a perception thing that isn't going to change. Unless every single game series ever is on a life cycle like the GTA games are, where there's just nothing for 5 years, then a game comes out, and it's huge, and everyone cares about it, then there's nothing. The industry can't work like that. There'll be no games ever, unless every game company somehow managed to get it worked out so that they all sort of released on different years and it all worked out perfectly, but that's just not going to happen, and they make too much money from annualizing, and it's just a silly mess. So if it bothers you that people, if you feel like you need to defend games that people say, oh, they're the same every time, it's this and that, and you're an idiot for liking this thing. I mean, you enjoy the games you enjoy. You play the series you like. And to me, it's fine that when a new game in a series comes out and is similar to the previous ones, well, that's what you want. That's what you want from a game series. And yeah, there is a negative outlook generated by all of this, but I mean, it's the same with everything. It's the same with every DLC. There's something with every single game that comes out. Microtransactions, pre-order bonuses, all of this. I mean, everything. There's always a negative outlook on everything. everything. I mean, my fucking YouTube channel's called I Hear Everything. So what do you think about the whole needing to reinvent itself thing? Personally, I'm just sort of like, come on. Who gives a fuck? Do some games do it? What games do you do it in a non-egregious way, and which ones are a little more guilty of maybe falling more into the, hey, you're just using this for money sort of thing, you know what I mean? Tell me in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. All comments and ratings are very much appreciated. And make sure you leave suggestions for future Job Labs. I'll see you next time. Bye! A nearly non-existent part. There is a part of you somewhere that's thinking, I wonder what it would be like to have 30 million subscribers like PewDiePie. I wonder how that feels. You know, nothing to worry about. It's just, I could upload anything and everyone would eat it up, like no matter what, pretty much. And you just got full carte blanche to just never worry about anything again. And that could apply to any field that you're in. If you want to go into art or business or any of these different fields, there are going to be people you look up to and in turn.